Hi, I'm Shellie Geigle and thank you for visiting, and today's tutorial will be on how I made this 8.5 by 6.5 by 3.5 a scrapbook album, and it's featuring the Heartfelt Creations Raindrops on Roses. Now, one thing I want to point out is I did release some sneak peeks of the cover, and those of you that saw it are probably noticing I have an extra flower here. That I was making handmade flowers, there was some left over, so guess what? It ended up here. But if you like the original posting without it, it's okay because nothing else is altered. This will be the last flower I lay, so you can opt in to have it or out. Really quickly, this album features a lot of neat different flowers, so if you have some on hand that match in, that's a good way to save money. If not, they're available to buy in my store, J&S Hobbies and Crafts. This also features a neat little clasp closure. And I'll take you around. And then once I move the camera over my shoulder and you can see right down in my work area, we'll look again at more detailed page by page of what we'll be doing today. This one has a lot of neat embellishments. It's got the works, a lot of good designs in here. So we will get started on that. Sorry about that. My camera died on me and had to plug in the thingy-mabobber. Alrighty, so cutting to the chase here. Let's take a look at this. We have flat back pearls, and I'm going to do the materials list here in a moment, but I did want to show you what we were going to be doing a little bit closer up here. Here is the cover, the spine, and the back. Beautiful lace, and of course we got our bling on a roll, can't forget that. And these claps are actually called Dritz Extra Large Hook and Eye, and they're a great idea if you like to do that. And instead of the traditional tie off, here's an option, and that's what I did in this album here. So let's go ahead and look through this. It is quite the album. You have a lot of removable mats, butterflies, we have our fold outs, more picture mats, tags, the works here. On this side we have our little pocket, another pocket, lots of mats here. And being that I actually used a full paper pad, and to make sure that you guys have enough, because when I was done with the paper pad I had maybe this much left of a sheet. So I want to make sure that you guys can complete this project with one paper pad. If you don't feel comfortable with that, get two, but I think you're going to be okay. We're going to actually design the pages, and then we'll go back and add our picture mats, or you can, depending on how much time we get into this tutorial, you can always go back and do that. They're not hard. Pick and choose what you want to do. Or if you do run out, an option is some colored cardstock to match in, to fill in for the picture mats or tags. So alright, on this page it looks like I've got us a waterfall, and I think there's two in this, of two different ways to make them. This one is done like that, and I have something right there you can just kind of do there. And of course I have this tied shut. Those of you that have magnets, you can always use the magnetic closure too. Here I've got a tight enough band to where it will actually hold my tags and picture mats and not fall out on me. And this page is the side picture. You can put your stuff in on the side and whatever you want to do. I made that one short. I like mine to be able to stay in once they're in so that they don't fall out of the album, so I make mine a little tighter, and then they expand when I add in stuff. Here is a fold out, and up here I just kind of slid, I don't know if you can see that, I'm in the way, I just kind of slid a little tag there, and here's more. Very pretty design here. And then I don't know if you can see over there. Here we've got a side little pocket, and you just slide your stuff right on in there. Here we have another little waterfall. And as you notice, this one's done differently, where there isn't the gaps in between to fill. This one is just done just like that. Here is another glue string, another fold out, and right over here we have a place to slide our little mat in, and it clears so it doesn't get messed up. But also this one features a back pocket. I can slide stuff back in here. So I'm actually using this pocket here. It has given me room to add photos here. I've got my fold out over here, but also allows me the option of sliding bigger photos in and not worrying about clearing. So, and then over here a bunch more picture mats and a pocket. Okay, on this particular one, I don't know if you could see very well, but if you notice, this is our little fold out, but if you notice, we have a side pocket, and it's actually out here allowing me to slide them in and out from the side. Some of you already know how to do that, but it didn't take away from me being able to have an area to post a really pretty picture. Here is a large fold out, and it has, of course, the pockets, another pocket, and an area that I can put any mat I choose right there. This particular one, same thing. We have a side area, little pocket, and I can slide my photos, as many as I want, right in here and not worry about it for space. Large fold out, and this is a double one, I believe it is, and we have a pocket and some mats. Yeah. And then the last page being, we have a little pocket down here. We have a pocket here. And we have another large pocket in the back full of mats. You stick everything back in there. And one thing you'll notice about a lot of my work is I do back my pockets with cardstock. It gives it that extra strength needed so that when you are grabbing photos in and out, and if you're a little too rough, it won't rip your page out like it can happen if I don't. So another fold out here. So that is what I came up with, and it's actually a really neat design, allowing you to put lots of photos in this album and whatnot. Okay, so let's get started here. Alrighty, so we're going to go over the basics of what we are going to need to create this album. Also, if you are looking to buy from my hobby and craft store, you can always hop on Facebook and type in J&S Hobbies and Crafts. Pull up the page. There's links all over there to my online store, or you can go straight to my blog. It is www.designsbyshellie.blogspot.com, and you should be able to find the link in there somewhere, or right on my YouTube channel. Alrighty, basics. Let's move this album out of the way. Hot glue gun and glue sticks. You'll want that for easy gluing down of your flowers. A score pal for scoring. You're going to need your paper cutter, of course. I've got coffee going in the background, so we may hear that going, which I can hear it totally going. So let's get down to the papers. This is what we're using. This is Heartfelt Creations Raindrops on Roses paper collection. And we are going to get into this. Beautiful paper. I'll tell you, it's one of my favorites. And with Heartfelt Creations, you cannot make an ugly album. It's easy to work with. It's easy to make cards with. All the way around. 10 stars with their paper. And the quality's there, the prints, just everything is just beautiful. So that's what we are using. One pad should do it. If you make a lot of cutting mistakes, you may want to buy a second one, but I wouldn't invest in that unless it's needed. One thing I did add, if you notice, and I did this on a lot of my albums that I sell, and it really, to me, it looks classy, it's clean, and very durable, and I've been asked by people, what is it? Where do you get it? Well, it's a crocodile brown specialty paper, and I do sell them. It's a little more expensive, but if you go over to a Joann's or Michael's, you're going to find some of their specialty papers just as much, $1.99 a sheet. This is it, and one thing you'll notice, it's shiny, it's durable, it's not going to tear. And on the back side, it will adhere right down. So this is what I've been using to put on my spines, and it's great. And they come in black, all sorts. I generally just stock the brown because it goes with anything. Okay, chipboard. I always use the medium 12 by 12 medium black chipboard. I've already cut mine down to the 8.5 by 6.5 for my front cover, my back cover, and then 3.5 by 8.5 inch spine. So you will need this. Black cardstock I used in this, and I'll tell you, my favorite, I have great results, is Black Cat. It's by Coordinations, and I always get the 8.5 by 11 value pack. It has 50 in it, and it's very inexpensive, and inexpensive to ship too if you're buying online, aren't local. Now, one thing you will find that I did not do in my first tutorial with the smaller album that didn't have a whole lot in it because it didn't weigh a lot, but in my other albums such as this, and it has a lot of embellishments, it's thicker, I use Tyvek, and I think I'm pronouncing it right, but it's a Tyvek envelope. One envelope's going to last me forever, and I'm going to cut a strip, and I'll show you where we're going to use that, but that's just going to ensure that your binding does not come apart. And you can go to any office supply store and buy them. I think they have them in 20 packs, 25 packs. I do caution you that if you do buy in their 20 packs, that 20 packs is probably going to last you 10 years. I am going to be offering 5 Tyvek envelopes at a time, so you can buy it from me online or come into the store. And it's Tyvek, if some of you haven't heard of it, it's a durable material. It doesn't tear, and it's heavy duty. So those are some basics. The next thing is the glues and stuff that I used, and I'm going to bring this on over here for a moment. I use now this E6000 on all metal embellishments, including my little clasp. I could have my Dritz hook and eye here. I could have very easily put brads through my chipboard or whatever. I like to just glue it down. It's even more sturdier than sticking a brad through. So what's going to hold that is this, and I'll tell you, I can lift this whole album by this, and it isn't going to come off. Keys, anything metal, wood, I use this. Great stuff. Of course, hot glue. And our number one product we need is score tape. And this is the 1/4 by 27 yards, and this will last you at least a couple albums, maybe 3, depending on how you use it and how much. This is used in keeping your album together, your pages, your page hinges, and your pretty paper down to your base pages inside the album. I use glue sticks, these very inexpensive Scotch glue sticks. Now, depending on your climate and where you are, I've noticed that if you're in a colder or warmer or drier climate, sometimes you'll find that after a week of your album being done, you need to go back and check your photo mats if you use this, and just put a little bit more. What I'm talking about is, for instance, I use this to glue down my picture mats after it's sat, and of course before I sell anything I always double check to make sure the album's perfect before it leaves for just a second, third time. Just double check myself, but I do check picture mats, and I glue the pretty paper down to the black cardstock with this, or I alternate off and I use one of the glue runners like ATG or whatever, and that's what I use for that. Alrighty. Trim that I used. I should probably bring this back out. We got bling on a roll, and I will show you. I am still working on mine. This is very inexpensive stuff. This comes in 10 yards, and this is the single roll where it's whoops, I'm tangled. Anyway, it's this, and it's single, and I am bringing in the 3 or 4 road bling on the roll as well. They're fun to use on picture mats, believe it or not, for your pools and other projects. So this is all this is. I use this in a lot, so it never goes to waste. Okay, any type of, if you already have this on hand, well, don't go out and buy it, but I am using in this album Tim Holtz crinkle ribbon, and I'm using it because I'm using up the rest of another pack that I had already started, and I'm also using like a sheer organza type ribbon as well inside here. The lace, any lace will do. A lot of you already have that on hand, but what I am actually used in this album, I just fell in love with this, is the Martha Stewart decoupage, I think it's decoupage, lace trim pack, and it's got 4 different designs. I found it just beautiful, and it worked really good in here. And they have it in white, they have it in like a light beige, and it comes in black too. So I can't get my hands on a whole bunch of this. I think I might have 1 or 2 out there for sale. Next thing is, let's see, we cannot forget our pretties, our flowers. And I used a mixture, and like I said, to save money, if you already have these colors, then use them all up, you know. If you don't, buy some. This is new by Petaloo, is the green color, and I just got them into my shop, and I like the color green, and I used it in here and throughout the book. The green is here, whoops, green here, we got here, 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 and it's just lovely, and I used the rest in there. I used the purple. As you can see, I've got some purple in here, and there's some inside the album. One of my all-time favorites is this purple by Petaloo, and it's the fabric flowers I used here, and I got them here, and I got some in there as well. These were new, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on it, by Prima, and they're like a fabric flower. And I used it here, and they come with the pretty little stones in there, the embellishments, and I got them used in here. Like I said, when I made this, I went all out and used a lot of flowers and products, and I just had a great old time. But like I said, use up what you got on hand. That's always best, unless you can't live without it, or you just don't have it. Okay, and then here and there in the album I used some pinks. For this flower, this was handmade, and If you're looking for this flower and have to have it, I will make it again, and yeah, just add your items you want to buy from me in your cart and message me. Don't pay for your stuff yet. Message me, and I will sell you a 2-pack, and where you'd get 2 of them in there. And they're, like I said, they're inexpensive. Those of you that already have a die cutting machine, I will tell you which dies I've used, and you probably might already have it. This is a very popular Heartfelt Creations. It's the Ariana Lace HCD 747. I die cut these out on white bond paper. And then what I had done is I layered them, and then I inked them all. Well, first I inked it, then I layered it, but I used Ranger inks, oregano and peeled paint, and then I kind of blotted it with some like tea dye type colors. And then for this flower, I used the Heartfelt Creations HCD 722, and that's the Tattered Blossoms. And I did like 2 of almost all of them, and I just layered them in. The ink I used is the Ranger Raisin, and I just kind of did darker on the edges and lighter on the inside, and that's what I came up with after shaping my flower. And it came out beautifully. I think these are just gorgeous. That's when I was making them on another project. I was like, oh, gotta have it. Yep, found a home. Okay, so other embellishments that I used, and if you did the tutorial, my last tutorial, with the Once Upon a Time paper collection, then you probably may have a couple of these left over. These are the Prima butterflies, and I did use a couple of these out of the pack. You can get away with not having them at all. And I will show you really quickly where those were. I used one here and I used one here. Let's see, and you can see where I've used the other flowers too. Here's one. So it looks like I've used probably every one in this pack except for one. Yeah, I used almost the whole pack on this, but like I said, it's all according to taste and if that's what you want or not. On the front here, you will notice there is a metal bird cage, and before I put this flower on, carefully peeling this back, the layer, you will see it here, and that is the Tim Holtz bird cage, and the item number on that is TH92987. Okay, so I have a key down here. Any key is going to work for you. If you don't have any keys and you do need to, an inexpensive one is Junkyard Findings. Lots of keys in here, and it's not that expensive. It's better than paying $9. And also, right now, Jana's Hobbies and Crafts, I've designed my own metal key, and it is in the works. So maybe by the time this is done, I will have a prototype to share with you on my blog. And the main deal with that is I'm trying to give a good product at a lesser cost. So that's what I'm trying to do. These were used, the Junkyard Finding faucet wheels. And where you're going to find this is sporadically here and there. You don't have to have this. You can use a button instead or anything else. I used one here. I used one here. And as we open this up, I may find another one in here somewhere. So let's see. Anyway, put my page mats right back in there. Anyway, I only used a few. So like I said, if you can live without them, I wouldn't buy them. But if you like them and want to use them, well, go ahead and get some. An idea that I've been using them for is in the middle of flowers. They look kind of cool, especially on your handmade ones. I use this instead of a button, and it really gives the flower a totally different look. It looks nice. And of course, if you did take my other tutorial and bought these already, these are the Tim Holtz ornate plates. I've already gotten into this pack, so they're all skewed. But where I use that is right here. And we do use the E6000 glue to get that down. And I believe I have covered maybe, some flat back pearls if you have them, or buttons even will work. I use flat back pearls right up through here. And maybe some buttons, just grab some, put them off to the side, and we'll use them throughout this. Alright, let's build our album, but I forgot to mention this. This is for the side clasp. It's the Dritz. You get 3 of the extra large hook and eyes, and the one that I'm using is the nickel plated brass. Alright, let's get down to business here. You've got your 3 pieces of medium chipboard. 2 pieces are cut at 8.5 by 6.5. And then we have the spine piece, which is 3.5 wide by 8.5 long. And this is where the first thing we are going to do is get into our tie back envelope. And all I'm going to do is cut a strip. And the strip I am going to cut is going to be about 1.5 inches wide. And I will show you this when I'm done. Okay. And it's going to be 1.5 inches wide by, and you can just do it by 7.5 is good enough, because don't worry about it. And what you're going to have, it's already double-sided, and I just kind of go right on in here and snip it. Okay, this is where this is going to come into play, is right down here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, since I already have some leftover score tape, and I'm going to go one side at a time. And remember when I did my other tutorial, any rough edges that you have, put them towards the inside. Okay. And my rough edge is right there. It's not real rough, but it's not as smooth as this side. And how this is going to go is right smack and dab in the middle. Okay. And score tape, I am going to put 4 rows of score tape, edge, edge, to right down there. Okay, so I've got my score tape, as you can see, 4 rows right down here. All I'm going to do, peel this off. I'm going to go right here. And since, and my head is probably going to get in the camera again, but here we go. Right down the middle as straight as I can. And I always leave more headroom than the bottom. Okay? We got a good, and it's not going to ever come apart. Okay, I'm going to repeat this for this side and do the same thing. Okay, so I've got it down. The next thing I want to do, in this album, like I said, the way that we're going to put this part together is just a little different, not much from the other. It's pretty much the same thing, but just a few added extras. So, like with the other tutorial, we are going to still use black strips because we're going to cover up that white, okay? And you're going to want 2 strips here, 8 1/8 long, by 1 3/4 wide should do it. And all you're going to do here is take your score pal and just make sure you are going to give it enough. So about right down the middle on this. The idea here is just to cover up the white, and as you can see, when I go like this, it's going to cover it. And all I'm going to do now is score tape to get that down. And remember the technique that I showed you how. Tell you what, let's get this one going too. And then I can put the score pal away for a moment. Just run that right down. That way. Right on the either side of that crease. That's what we want to do. All the way down. And because I'm working at an angle with this camera over my shoulder, it may not be straight here, or you may occasionally see my head in the camera. My apologies. Okay, so this is pretty much what I got. And first thing I do is you're going to bring this up, move this over. Also, clip off any white you can see of the score tape if you went over like I did. Alright, so you're just going to go like this, make sure it's all good. So, first things first, I'm going to peel off one side. The other side here. And you can do it little by little, one side at a time, whatever's easiest for you. But just make sure that you get it down in there where it's going to crease. Okay? And I got mine. And then, there. Lay it down. So make sure you're even, you're down. Good. We're going to repeat this for the same thing over here. And remember, leave probably about a 1/16 or an 1/8 from the bottom. Next thing you're going to want to do, and this is the part that's different from the other general tutorial, is you're going to want to cut a piece of black cardstock 3.5 inches wide by 8 1/8 inch tall. And where this is going to come into play is right here. And it's going to keep you even down here with your two hinges, and it's going to help you with keeping your hinges straight. Plus what it also does is, if you notice in this book versus if you saw the general tutorial on the other one, is when you flip the page, you're not going to see the chipboard down. You're always going to see the same black smooth hinge style here. So that's what this is, and when you're covering it, you can't be chintzy with the score tape. You're going to want to cover it all, because remember, your hinges are going to stick to this and you don't want them to come off. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Remember, make sure that you are in between. Your cut is correct. You're in between so it doesn't grab at the creases here where the books open and close, and you're going to even that up with the bottom of your hinges and the top, and you should have a nice straight line going across, and it also helps you with keeping your hinge pieces straight. Alrighty, so you're at this point and you have your piece in here. It's looking great, beautiful. If you open it up, you're able to go like this and this at this point. Perfect. Set it aside. Let's get your inner pages with the black cardstock cut. The size that you are going to cut, and you're going to do a total of 8 of these. And it's an 8 1/8 by 6 1/8. So go ahead and make your cuts. I've already done that. And then you're going to flip it over on one side, and you're going to butt the score tape 2 rows right at the edge, and the other one goes right smack up against it. So you'll want to get all your pages, one strip on each page. Okay? Then we're on to doing our strips for our hinges. So I'm going to let you go ahead and catch up there. Okay, so you should have 8 sheets of 8 1/8 by 6 1/8. Each one on one side of the page should have 2 strips of your score tape butted right up against each other. And I've got all mine done. Set those aside. Hinges. You're going to need four hinges. And the size of it is 8 1/8 by 2 inches wide. That's going to ensure you have plenty of room here. Okay? Once you have those cut on your score pal, if you were to lay this down, I want to make sure that my album has enough room in between the pages to allow for all the fold outs, the picture mats, everything I have in there. And I came up with the first score line being 5/16, the second score line at 1 1/4. And once you fold that and get that, what you're going to do is, when you've done that with all of them, and let me just verify that. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16, 1 1/4, and that is the lucky number to get all these hinges in and all your pages in comfortably to allow you room. Okay, once you've got them cut, flip them all over like I usually have you do. Okay, you're going to put 2 pieces of score tape right down the middle. Careful not to get on your score lines, just right in between there. Okay? Alrighty, now we're ready to start putting down the hinges. And when I make these, when I know how many pages I want, for example, the album we're making, it has it's like a book. Each one of these count as 2 pages, just like in you're reading a book, page 1, page 2, and so forth. So since we have 8 of these, and they're each 2 pages, that's 16, plus the inside, 17, 18. We have a very large album. It's beautiful, it's thick, and we want to make sure, like I said, when we place these hinges, and you're on your own, when you make your other one, make your hinges first and plan it out how it's going to play. Okay? When you use that middle piece of cardstock like we did, it works as a great measurement guide to keep you straight instead of going off. If you can keep straight with this top and this bottom, and when you're looking to place these, the chances are of your pages going off or your hinges going off are slimmer than if you didn't. So my head may get in the way here. But what I first do is, I know that these are all going to line up. But when I'm just starting off and making an album, and I mess with spacing to accommodate what I had in mind, I always start with one side and then I'll do the other side, kind of lay it down to see where I need to space out the other 2. So on this particular one of the tips I said is only go halfway down and then pull the rest to make sure you're straight. I'm going to just go ahead and speed this up, and my head probably is going to get in here. But again, up here, I'm straight. Down here, I want to make sure, and I'm looking right in between to see. And since I am in an awkward position, I'm hopeful that's going to work. From the looks of it, I'm pretty straight. Okay, we're going to go with the back now, the back pages. And again, I'm going to just go with the flow here and hope for the best. And again, I'm going to look at the top, the bottom, and over here to help keep me straight. And keep my head out of the camera, if at all possible. And I'm thinking that's semi-straight. If not, I'll have to even it up somehow with my other hinges. But I think we're okay. So now this is how I kind of eyeball it to see where I need to be, is when I'm placing these, and I want it to be semi-even in between depending on the design, and this design is semi-even. So that's how it's going to play out, and I'm just going to peek over here. That's how much space I need. So here we go. And like I said, it isn't really going to matter much about your spacing. Just keep it as even as possible. Some of my albums, I have a bigger gap in the beginning than the front, and it's because of what design I decided to do with the album. And that's how I wanted it to be. Okay, so looking at this, I'm pretty even in between there. Of course, I'm looking at it sideways. We're going to go with it. Looks pretty good. And again, my last one is going to sit right smack in there. So, the last one you place is pretty much going to tell you how well you did. And I'm hopeful this is going to be okay right there. And I think we're okay. Got some good spacing there, 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 and there. We're all good. And at this point, you should be able to go like this. You're good. Okay, placing these. Okay. These are simple. Okay. And here is a fast technique to do this. Okay. Just stick your page. Make sure your top is even with your bottom. Kind of butt it right up in there. Like so. Sorry, my head's in the way again. Just kind of butt it right on up there. Make sure, like I said, the top is even and I am off. Oops. Well, geez. That's not an easy technique. My fingers are sticking and I'm shaking. Too much coffee. Okay, once you have it butted up like this, pretty much I just kind of slant it and fold it over. The next page, here we go. Demonstrate this again. I'll try to keep my head out of this time. Just butt it on up to that page like so. Careful that you are kind of matching. Just roll it over. You're done. One more time and then we'll finish this on up. Keep going. Okay, I'm going to switch over to this side. Butt it on up. Push it. So now you just repeat that technique all the way through to your last page. Okay, so we got our album done, and you still should be able to go like this, and be just fine. Flipping through your pages are flopping over good. A little technique of just holding and flopping over worked for you, and we are on to our next step, which is our cover. So now, looking at the cover here, we're going to go ahead and start laying this out. And what we want to do is in your pack,
you have this sheet of paper. You're not going to measure anything out. What you're going to do is cut it right in between these two. Okay, even. Okay, next thing you're going to do is, I just go like this, is you are going to make a cut right underneath where the bottom of this flower is. That's going to be your first piece there. Okay. You're going to notice one is wider than the other. We're going to take the slimmer one. Okay, and that's what's going on our cover. Now, our spine cover with the pretty paper, it's already 8.5 this way, so we're not going to shave it off that way. We want to cut to 7 3/4 across, and I've already done that. Okay, this is going to be our spine wrap. So now, if you look at this, the flowers are going to be down here. So now all we have to do is measure up to 8.5 and cut it. So I did mine 8.5 here, and this is for my front cover, and it's going to fit nice. On the back, okay, on the back of this, same thing. However, this is going to be the outer, this is going to be the top, and we're going to come down 8.5 right here and make that cut. So before we start gluing down anything, I want you to open your book, make sure your headroom is on the top. The smaller one's going to go in the front. We're going to put score tape all the way around and 2 strips in the middle, and that's going to go right to the right hand edge, and that's going down. We're then going to flip this over and we're going to do the same thing with the score tape on for the back. Okay. Then what we're going to do is, once you have your cover in place, like so, you're going to kind of eyeball this and come in a little bit past, right about there, and I'll measure that really quick for you. And that's about a 1.5, at 1.5 inches, you're going to score it. Okay, right down there. Oops. Next, once you have that in place, you're just going to go to the back here, straighten out your album, pinch it, and you can use your score pal or your fingers. This paper is really easy to work with. Bring it down like that. That should be very close to straight. And you can also, if it's too much in the back for you, which I think mine's going to be, you can just trim off a hair of that. Just looking. So what's going to happen here, we got our front, we got our spine, and we're going to go ahead and do the score tape on the spine. And how you do that is you are going to, around the perimeter of each one of these little panels, you're going to go around, put one in the middle here, same thing here. On the middle part, you're going to go around the perimeter with score tape, and you're going to want to put 2 or 3 in the middle. And then you're going to attach it. Alright, the next step what you're going to want to do is, we're going to get everything ready to go, is there is this sheet, and I think it's the very back sheet. On the back side there's purple. You're going to want 2 things from this, and I suggest cutting this sheet right down the middle. And then you can cut out the green memories. When you do, from here, leave yourself some room around it. And then you're also going to want this cherished sentiment. You're also going to need off this sheet, if you noticed it's the smaller panel with the little hat and the pretty roses. On the back it says remembering beautiful moments with you. So we're going to carefully cut this out. Alright, so you've got your panel out. You are going to cut a piece of black cardstock to mount this on, and leaving just about a 1/16 of an inch all the way around so it's poking through. And I'm going to go ahead and get that on there. And I may be out and I am. So I'm going to use my score tape. And all I'm going to do here is go around the perimeter and put a piece right in the middle. Okay, so I've mounted my black cardstock onto it, and I've got score tape on the back. Now set that aside. What we're going to do now, and I am going to use something here to prop this up so we can see a little bit better what I'm doing. And I think you can see okay. Is if you notice on this album, we have lace trim coming down this way. We have lace trim that's going to go across the top. It has, the lace has 3 flat back pearls on it. And in the back, we have a strip of the lace and the bling here too. So we're going to go ahead and put our lace down here, and I'm actually have the corners going out. So how this is going to look, I got a piece right here ready to go. Oops, I got that one tangled. And then I'm going to glue this down, and I'm going to do that to the front and the back. Okay. Then I'm going to cut a strip of lace that's going to go right across here and put my 3 flat back pearls, and I've already got that ready to go here. It's cut and it will fit like so. Okay, and once I get the bling on the back and whatever, I am going to go ahead and glue this down. And the correct place that this goes, and I'm going to bring this up a little closer just in case you can't see. If you notice, you have a frame underneath there. All I've done is put the corner of this right in the corner there. And then the is still there, the trim. And I'm going to go ahead and put that down now. This is where you should be at right now. You have your front lace, your back lace, the bling, and your lace down on your picture mat that you've put down. Set this aside for a moment. Grab, let's get this ready to go. Grab one of your Tim Holtz ornament plates. Grab the memories. And what we're going to do is turn this so that it fits like this, if you're wanting to use this sentiment. And just to what I did here, I wanted to tack it down so that it doesn't move. So I am just going to go right like that, how I want it. And then I'm just going to cut around and get the little excess off. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. We're going to use the E6000 here in a moment, and we'll do that
and about the same time we do the other. Alrighty, what we're going to do right now is you are going, if you were using the clasps, because I didn't put any ribbon underneath there, you're going to see two pieces. One's the flat and one has the hook. Put the hook somewhere where you're going to find it again. This is going to be attached when we're done with the album so that you'll know how much tension you will need to keep that album closed. So I am just going to go ahead and put that there. You're going to need your E6000, and I've also got my little faucet wheel ready to go here. And you're going to need some sort of binder clip to help you out, and it will hold it there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the E6000 right on there. I'm not going to use brads. I'm going to stick it right about there. Actually, I am going to prop this up just a little bit better if I can, so it's straight, hopefully, at least until I can get my thing on. And I'm going to leave just enough room for my little hook to get through. And what have I done with my faucet wheel? Lost it in the process. Oh, it's right in front of my face. Alright, so then I'm going to go ahead and put the E6000 on the faucet wheel. I'm going to sandwich both together, leaving enough out. And then I'm going to use the binder clip to hold it there. Okay? And it will hold it in place while it cures. The next thing is I'm going to turn this a little, like so. And you have this ready to go. I'm going to put the E6000 all over this, and we are going to stick it down and leave the book like so to let it cure. Otherwise this is going to slide off. So we have some drying time. We're going to at least wait about 10-15 minutes before we even attempt to move forward. Alright. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to start gluing down our flowers, and then we will finish off with our bling that goes around the perimeter. I still have my clip on, and I'm going to leave it there for a while because I want to make sure my clasp is on really good. All you're going to do is you're going to use your E6000 on the back of this, and you're going to bring it up right about here. The next flower you're going to want to lay is this fabric, this fabric purple one that's really pretty. Okay, and you're going to glue it down right here. You're going to grab one of your green ones and you're going to glue it down there. Okay. Make sure I'm down enough here. The next flower that you are going to want is this dark one, which is going to glue right here. And that's one of the fabric flowers. The next one is the paper purple flower, and that goes right here. The next is a green, and that's going to go right here. Your other green, you're going to glue right there. Okay. Your next flower is this one with the little bling in it. Okay. And that goes right there. We have this other fabric purple that goes here and here. Okay. Now, then of course the key is going to get glued down right about so. Okay. Now this is pretty much what it looked like on my posting before I decided to add this beautiful flower.
And you can leave it like that, or you can put another flower, and all you're going to do is layer that right on top. And then her hat's, that little hat is still peeking out. We are going to use our Cherish sentiment and glue that down right here. And now what you're going to be doing is you're going to be cutting strips of bling and gluing it down. You may need to, move your binder clip at this point. But you're just going to cut them to fit around the perimeter of your deal here. Cut some strips, and I grabbed a bunch of leftovers, so let's see. This one goes here. This one will fit right here. Just like so. Oops. But you get the idea. And then of course I'm going to cut this one short after I get it over there.
Your album should now look like this. Okay, so our first page, let's take a look at it and what we're going to need. I'm going to remove the picture mat here. The paper we're going to use for both sides, I'm going to just move those out of the way and these so we can see. Grab this paper, if you can see it okay. Whoops, goes this way. And down in the corner down here you will kind of notice there's a very faint print of a trunk and some flowers up in here. And what we're going to do is cut it right down the middle at 6 inches. You should have your 2 halves. You want to, on this particular one, you are going to measure up and do 8 inches. Okay, so you have your left side there. And that is for a picture mat or whatever. Your other side, we want the flowers on the right hand side up on the top. So I'm going to cut it right down here at 8 inches. So I've got 2 sides. Let's set our right hand side to opposite side there. And we're going to start with the left side. We do have a fold out. So I want to get my cardstock out. And I'm going to need a bigger piece for that. Okay. You're going to need to find your other sheet like this. On the back was the same print, but what we're wanting to do is we want to cut out this beautiful window frame. And just so you know, when I'm going to use the paper cutter and I'm going to cut it right down this way first so that it takes this part off, so I'm not cutting sideways into one of my pretty mats. I may be using the other side of where that says Special Wishes. I may be using that for a trim. So, that all cut. All right. So since the inside of the album is larger than this, okay, we're going to be able to move this over enough to where it's going to fit nicely. Okay, first I want to do is grab my black piece of cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line it up when I get it on my cutter. But
if you notice, I'm going to leave about a 1-inch lip over here, and then I'm going to cut it straight down this way, leaving just a hair of black showing. Okay? And about 1 inch is good for that little flap, because that's what's going to tuck back behind your page to hide the hinge. So this is what I've got so far. Now what I'm going to do is turn it, and I'm going to cut right down here and just leaving a hair of black poking through. And I do that with a lot of my albums because I find that the black actually really makes the colors pop. Okay, so the easiest way I do this, and you may have your own technique, but I just grab my score pal out. Okay, I just put it right on down there. And even though my flap's going to be on this side, it doesn't matter which side I'm going to score on. I just flip the black over. But I just put that up there, and I just measure to leave a little bit of black overhang. And then I find where I want to score, and I just kind of move it over. And I'm going to score once, and I think you can see that. And then there's another. So now what you're going to find is that I've got 2 little score marks. Okay? So I'm just going to fold that right on up. And hopefully, if I measured correctly, yep, and I have a nice fit. I'm going to have to, of course, back this, and I have to get my little pockets going here. And what I did on the inside, though, was a little unique. I was using up panels that I wouldn't normally use because perhaps the picture panels in the pad said happy birthday or something. Well, this isn't a birthday book, so, or it said something special for you. So I'm going to pull out really quick what you need to find, and then we're going to put it together. Because I didn't want to waste any of the paper, and I knew that this album was going to be loaded with picture mats, and I wanted to utilize all the paper, let's go ahead and cut this panel out. And I know it says happy birthday, but we're going to cover it. And I'll show you what actually I did here in this fold out. If you notice, this is actually the happy birthday one cut down to fit, because it's large. And I went ahead and for the side, right here, the green, if you notice, there is a green little panel down here. I used that. And then the other side of this is this, and I actually used it down here so I wasn't wasting any of that paper. The live in the moment is and I'm going to pull the sheet out in a moment to show you which sheet we need to get that from. And other than that, and then all I did was a circular punch of some leftover cardstock to cover the round little wishing you a very happy. So let's do this together. Alright, so I have cut this out. My green little panel I cut out and I sliced in 2. One I'm going to flip over. Okay. The live in the moment actually came from one of our first cuts on the cover when we were getting out this. So you should already have this off to the side. Okay, so now that I've got some of the pieces that I'm going to need, we are going to need one more thing. But for now, we're just going to do one thing at a time. We got what the main things we needed for the inside. We're going to go ahead and glue down our panel. Make sure that your flap is on the left-hand side and do not cross your scorn line. So I usually just bend it back like that. Okay. And since this is carrying weight, I can do the score tape, or I can use this However, I am going to use my score tape, and I am going to get this down. Okay, so I got that down. I got my stuff on this side too. But if you notice, what we're going to do here, and I'm actually going to bend this back the other way so I can see. I'm going to have to cut this down to fit. And I am going to need to cut about 6 inches down to fit. About 6 inches, maybe a hair under. Alright. So let's see if I can get that to, this is on the inside once again. And I'm going to go ahead and try and fit that down. And it doesn't matter at this point if I am a little bit off because we do have the pocket going there. My main concern right now is covering this up. And you will notice that from your first beginning cuts, from your cover sheets, that you're gonna probably have something that says love. Keep that. We're also, there's another mat that that I covered up a sentiment that has nothing to do with anything. I think it's a birthday or whatever, but it doesn't fit the album. So I'm retaining that, setting it off to the side. Here you have a choice. I used green left over. I am actually going to just see if I have something over here, which I do. It's behind this, and I knew I saved this for a reason. The happy birthday sentiment shape. I'm just going to go ahead and cut a round circle with a round circular punch. That's all that's needed. I'm going to just use this really quick. And I am going to go ahead and cover the wishing you part. And that way, this panel does not get wasted. I don't have to save it for a card or anything like that. Now comes the live in the moment. And I'm going to snip it off right about there and live in the and I bring it right about here, and it's going to be covering up this. And I brought it just on the inside of this border. And then what I did was I grabbed Moment and the little decoration after it. And again, I'm sorry if my head gets in the way. And what I did there was I just brought it back on over here. And that way you would have never known it said happy birthday. And I get to use it. So all's well. Okay, so now you had the green little strip from that page cut out, and I cut mine in half. Okay, the first thing that I did on the bottom was measure about here that I needed across. I'm just gonna hand cut this. I think I'll be okay. Then what I did was I took and I used a border punch. Like I said, anyone's gonna work for you. And I think you're getting all this. Yeah. All right. Everything goes on the floor until I clean. All right. So I know that I wanted to be about this much across, and I'm going to be real quick here and just go right on ahead. The first thing, I know this is really deep, but I'm going to make my cut after. It saves me time, and that way I can get it the way I want. So all I do here, and I always leave a little black on the sides if I can. And now that's the easy thing. What I'm going to do is chop it right down here, and then I'm going to chop it right across the bottom. So I've got this done, and I'm going to fold this back again really quick. But according to this, my cuts are good. This is going to go across the bottom, and where you want to put your score tape, of course, is you're going to put some score tape right down the bottom of it. And on the sides. Alright. Peel this off. No white showing through. And then, excuse me if my head gets in the way, I am going to go straight down, even down here, as even as I can, being crooked. Down here. The next thing we're going to do is the same thing we just did, but we're going to do the green, okay? And so eyeballing this, I'm going to make a cut right across here. And now I'm going to back this with some black cardstock, and I didn't use a trim. Okay, so I went ahead and did the same thing I did down here. I just don't have my trim. I got my score tape down, and now I'm going to go ahead and get my head in the picture, sorry, and try and make this as even as I can. Okay. Alright, then what I did in here is I grabbed a green flower and a purple flower, and there were 2 buttons with that. So here are my 2 flowers, but if you notice on this one, there isn't the balls inside, the little pretty balls. I actually pinched those right off and saved them for later. I didn't want the balls for some reason. So what I'm going to end up doing is replacing them with the little buttons in each and putting them in there. Probably not that button, a different one. And I just used regular white buttons, however. I wanted to do something different. Hello, ouch. So first thing I'm going to do is use a little hot glue here, and I put one up here, and I still need to get the center in that. One here, and I need to get my button. And I found a button laying around. This one. I'm just going to slide that right there. 2 little buttons, that's cute. So the inside of this is done. So let's grab, until we put the picture mats or the little tag. This one had a little tag in it and stuff. So let's go ahead and attach this. The easiest way to attach, okay, you've got your first score mark, and then you have your outer score. I usually take the outer score first and use that as my guide. Okay, right about there. And then at this point I can either use hot glue to tack it down or the score tape. I'll use a strip of score tape over here. Okay. If I can get it up. And then I'm just going to push it and wrap it. And then I can move this back to fit. Now we need the little corner angles. Okay, I used a corner punch on mine, and I used a variety of different punches and throughout this album, If you have one punch, use it throughout your album. I used a variety so people could just see the different effects you can get with different punches. If you don't have a decorative punch, all you have to do is real simple. I usually just grab this. We're going to be using that leftover strip of paper from our cover. But all you have to do is take it, and I take the strip like this, okay? It's the easiest way. I come down to how far I want to go in, and I cut straight to the corner. Then using this, I use it as a template on this side and cut it the same. The corner punch that I actually used in the album that I showed was this one. It's a Martha Stewart. Put the corners out just like this. And I just slipped one edge in, made sure I was pretty square, and I cut one there. Came down on the other side. Okay, and then I went from the corner straight across. Just for now anyway. Now I also did back it for more durability with some black cardstock, so I'm going to do that again. And like I said, if you don't have a corner punch, what you're going to want to do, and I will show you, just in case you didn't understand, is I usually just lay it down, and I think, okay, I want about there. And I just cut straight on across. Then what I do is I use that as a template. And I bring it on over to the other side, I flip it over the other side, and then I just start cutting. And then I have two equal sides. But for this, and I need a squared edge, I'm going to go ahead and use my corner punch. Okay. So, in order to get these kind of showing through like that, and this is just how I start off, as I just used that. There's one side, and I went ahead and did like that. So I'm going to need to glue these two together, and then what I'm going to do is put score tape just on this side and this side, because I'm going to have this decorative corner, and it's going to lay like that. You should be right about here now, where you have attached them. And the embellishments was one of the butterflies, and it was the lightest pink. And if I can get it out, there we go, was the lightest pink. And on your sheet like this that you've already cut into, you'll notice there is a rose up there. And I'm actually just going to hand cut this out. I am going to mount this on black cardstock. Just like so. And with this, I don't have to use my cutter. I can just eyeball it. It's not gonna throw anything off. Okay. I did just dab a little hot glue on that just to hold it in place for me, and I've set it off at an angle somehow like that. And then I put some on the back of my, and I just put it off just like that. Okay, so this and this is done. The only thing that we have left to do is the side pocket. And what we're going to do with that is grab some black cardstock. And I did use garden trellis. And you can use any trim you want or not even use any trim, okay? But I am going to cut, and I'm going to start with about, let's see, it was about a 2-inch wide by 8-inch, 8 1/8, 8-inch strip. Okay, 2 inches wide, about 8 inches long. Or you can go 8 1/8 because your base, I mean, if you wanted, but I'm doing about 8 inches because that's what my page is. Okay, so really quick, all I'm going to do here, line up my holes. Okay. My mess so we can see what we're doing. Okay. Whoops, I didn't complete that, did I? Well, I'll be darn. So I'm just going to line that back up and I think we'll be okay. There. No harm. Alright, so this is going to go like this. So first thing I'm going to do is just lay the score tape directly on my page. I do want a straight cut right across there. And I am off to the side, so I am going to turn my thing so that I can get this. And right to the edge of my paper. Get that white little bit off there. All I do here, and I do need some going up, and that's where I put it on here. Where'd my go? Just gonna okay. And I'm not wrapping it around, not on this one. I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way. So many ways to do this, and this is the way that I wanted to do. So all I'm going to do is just lay it there, line it up. Alrighty. Now, if you notice, you're going to want to tack this part down. And you can use a white glue or whatever you want. Honestly, I just dab just a little bit and it does not show through. And then I'm going to find a scrap piece. Just dab a little bit of glue. Okay. And Special Wishes, I'm going to use that on the other side just to go down. So I'm going to cut that little strip off. Just what I need. And I know it needs to be by 8 inches. And what I did was when I was doing this part, I just cut off. I didn't put any of the flowers up in here, but I am going to cut it down here so my flowers are up here. And for this, I am just going to run this real quick down here. Whoops. It's very sticky. I'm just gonna, and I have lace coming on this, so I can go over a little more. Can't tell how straight I am. I'm looking at this sideways. but it should be okay. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to actually put this in our book, and I've got my score tape down here. And what I want to do is make sure I'm over this way enough to where this isn't going to hit anything. Okay? And I'm going to bring it down a little bit lower and leave this because I've got some lace that is going to go across the top underneath once I get this down. So that's where I want to be, and I'm going to go ahead and take the score tape off now. And my head is going to get in the camera, I have a feeling. Right about there, I'd say. Gives me enough room on either side. Alright. I cut my about 6 inches wide, and this is going to go right up through here. And I usually just use my glue gun and do little by little there. Okay, down the side, before I do anything there, I am going to want this down the side. Okay, so again, I'm going to put some glue down here. And what I should have done is those little stragglies that I find her stuff has, I should have trimmed them. And I'm going to have to get the little craft knife out, or X-Acto knife out, because I don't like those. That's good enough. And I'll clean up my glue strings here in a moment. Oops, I didn't even get it down. Dab it down. And trim off. Alright, get those icky glue strings out of there. And my craft knife. It's probably buried. And it is. Usually when I can't find something, that means it's time to pause, and it is time to clean up the area so I can actually work. So I'm just going to take this. And also a trick to, if you're using hot glue like me, a trick is if you get hot glue residue somewhere, and of course it's going to discolor your pretty paper, you can ink it with black ink to cover it. That is a little trick. Now if it's a huge something that can't be, of course, well, you're just going to have to live with it or tear it out. Okay, so now I'm just going to glue down some of this lace to keep it down. That's all I'm going to do there. And trim off any scragglers. Okay, so this page is done except for the picture mats, of course, like we discussed. We're going to go back and do that. The next page, all we have on the next page is We have picture mats, but we have a really pretty pocket and this little side pocket. So for this, we're going to do the same thing we did there, but let's do one thing at a time. So we're going to start and grab our right-handed sheath for our base sheet. You should have a scrap piece like this. And this is actually an 8 1/8 wide by 5 inch, and what I went ahead and done is border punched the top, and that border punch didn't punch out very well, and it's going to sit just like this. However, I am going to do a little trimming, as you can see, and I'm going to do a little trimming, and when I do a little trimming, all I do is kind of mark this where I want it with some pencil. This is one way, and then I take it to my paper cutter. Alright. Let's see how I did. And I did just fine. Okay, so the flower's on the top. Let's go ahead and glue this down. I'm actually doing the quick way here with a little glue runner. Okay, and I'm going to center it here. And I'm just going to put it right about there, center as I can get it. Trying to make it even. Now all we do is we put our score tape down on the bottom. And I'm going to match this up right down here, making sure this side and this side is, because this should be 6 inches for you. If not, just wrap it around the back. And I think this is good, right about here. And then we just flip it over like that. For now, I am just going to use this or my score tape, whatever works for you. And voila. Okay, so this is done, and this can actually go down in your album. And I was a little bit off having more black, but it does not matter. It isn't going to mess me up, because once I put this down, you're not going to be able to tell that there's a difference here, because I'm black. So I am going to put the score tape around the edges, one down the middle, and then I am going to carefully place this down, making sure that I have a little black border at the side, bringing it as far over to the right as I can, of course, and I'm clearing the hinge. Okay, so I've got my piece ready to go back to the black cardstock, and I've got my sheet down. And I'm just going to go ahead and lay this. It goes right in the corner. And let's see if I can't get this down. Right like so. Good. And the next thing you're going to need is your lace. And we are going to glue it right down like this. Your sentiment dream you're going to find on this piece that we've already started cutting into, and I mounted it to black cardstock, a pink flower, and I had used the off-white butterfly. So let's go ahead and get that down. Let's see if I can't get that down really quick. And the pesky glue strings, if you're using the hot glue to put yours down, just pull them off when you're done. Okay, so the dream is going to go at an angle. And I'm just going to throw that down there because I do have some lace. I'm going to throw it right like that. The next was a flower. Right here is a good spot. And then of course we have the butterfly. And he goes right there. Okay. Now if I wanted, I can put a button right in there, and if I wanted, put something right dab in the middle of that flower. And I think I will. Actually, I have something really pretty right here. I'm just going to use a little flat back roller. Alright. That page is done. Moving on to our next page now. Our next page is here. And what we're going to be looking for is the paper that is kind of a smokier colored with the window and the flowers going up. And I'm going to grab that really quick. Find it. And it's actually, you will find a sheet like this with all these neat little tags down there, sentiments and frames. It's on the back side. And again, we're going to cut that right down the middle at 6 inches. Okay, so I cut it down right down the middle at 6 inches. The window goes on this side, and this of course is going to go on this side. So I'm going to set this up to the side. And I'm going to measure on up at 8 inches and cut it right across. Get us started here. And I'm going to sit this off to the side. And just to take a look here, what we've got is a variety of, we have a waterfall with a variety of pretty colors. And this was put over a sentiment. I think this one said "You Are Special" or something, to cover that up. And so it's still a usable piece. And lace down here. And then of course we have our ribbon, and I use the Tim Holtz crinkle ribbon on this, but any ribbon's gonna work. Alright, you should have some leftover cuts from when we were cutting our base pages. You're also going to need this sheet. It's a full sheet. It says chairs and a bunch of stuff. Now, we've already cut in, and you should find some picture mats. Just flip stuff over. We have this one that we're using for the top. There's this one. This is the one that says "You Are Simply the Best." And since I wanted to use, I could have used this a different way in the album, but I didn't. I have a scratch piece of paper from one of my cuts. It's going to go right over that. Okay. My waterfall is going to be something like this after I cut this to fit, and the bottom being this particular one. So what I usually do to speed up the process is I take all 3 of these, I take one of them, and I hold it long ways on the cutter. I just make sure that I have a little black on each side, and I'm going to cut it straight down and leave this flap. That. So that's already done. This fits. Now what I want to do is I am going to need a total of 3 cuts. So I use this as a template, and I'm just going to cut straight down here, right the same size, and once I cut that piece off, then I'm going to go ahead and go across so that I have what I need. So just to show you what I'm doing here is I use this as a template. Now I have these because these are what, when I flip this one up, this is going to be there. So we're going to need a total of 3. So I got my score pal out, and of course I have 3 of these now. Okay, and what I am going to do is I'm just gonna butt this up like this so that there's little black on either side. And again, this is how I'm gonna do my little measuring trick. And I think it's gonna be about 4 inches that we're going to score. And we're just gonna score once on these. So I know it's 4 inches on all of these. I just wanna make sure that I'm going the right way here. That is the right way. 1, 2, 3. Let me make sure that one fits. And I hope I got them all the right way. All right, we can set this aside now. Whoops. Now I'm gonna double check myself because I may have done it the wrong way. I want to make sure these are all even in size. And they are. So to make this the easiest I can tell you is I'm going to go ahead and glue down, centering it in the black. I'm going to glue down the top, the flap goes down in the back, and then I'm going to flip it over, and the underside is going to be these. And I'm going to do it on this one, and then on this one the top is going to be this, and when I flip it up, it's the underside. I'm going to glue those down, and the bottom one is this one, and our last piece is this one. So we're going to go ahead and glue those down. Alrighty, so I've got them all down, top, middle, bottom, and then when we flip they'll all be like this. So how I do this is the first one, I don't worry about this. All I'm going to do is center it like so. And then I'm going to use a little score tape here first before I do it. I'm just going to make sure it's down good. Hope you can see that. I'm just going to put a couple strips here. Okay. And this being the top, I'm just going to bring this right up and get it as centered as I can and press it down. Now for the second layer, and remember we're going to run some ribbon back behind to tie this one down. I did not score to give it any room, so what's going to keep it down is the ribbon. So but here's how we do the second. Okay, if you're looking at it, this is going to be on the outside because it's going to play right down in here. You're going to run, and this is the easiest way I can tell you, is here is your score line right on the other side of your score line. I mean right on the other side. Put a straight piece of score tape down. Now on your cutter, your paper cutter, I want you to cut it right down here. So all you have is that 1/4 inch tag there, and mine wasn't too straight, but so there. Okay, how this is going to do, and I'm going to have to bend over a little bit, is before I pull that tape off, I'm just going to make sure that where I want it to fall. Okay, and I want it to fall like that, and how I get it to straighten up is I just put my hands on either side. Okay, just like that. So that's where it's going to be. And that looks good. So then I just kind of eyeball it. That's where it's supposed to be. I take it off, and once again I'm going to get my head in the way. Before I stick it down, I grab the two together. Okay, I bring it to where I want it, and I go ahead, and if I can't seem to get this right there, and it's down. Okay, it's pretty even from my view. Of course I'm looking at it sideways. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing. Don't worry about that, you can cover it up. The next one, same thing, and my head is going to get into the camera, unfortunately, because I can't do it at an angle. I have to be able to see both sides. And again, I'm going to trim this off. Okay. And right here should be good if I line it up right there. Let's take a look. I want actually mine to come down a little lower. So I'm going to do it probably right around there. And again, I can do the same trick I did before. And this is where my head comes into play. And I'm just going to go right over it. I'm going to look what I'm doing. And I'm going to make sure they're straight if I can. This one's not wanting to play right, but... and down. Okay? 1, 2, 3. So on this one, on the first one, I didn't do anything but put a strip of thin lace across the bottom here of this one. And that should be if I stretch it out. So I'm going to glue, after I trim this up, I'm going to glue this right here. Okay? So flipping this up to cover this, I grabbed another piece and I stuck it right there. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And then on the bottom, I grabbed another piece just like this. And I'm going to trim up these little things. And I put it right here and I pulled it kind of tight, okay, on each side. And that way when I slip that little mat that I had in there, it's going to stay. Okay, so I've got this all down. There's this, there's this, there's this. Now I'm going to take some ribbon. And once this gets down in your page, it's going to work a little better for you. It's going to flip better and all that. But what I want to do is make sure that when I tack this down behind, that it's going to, where my ties are kind of even on each side and I have enough to tie right here. So what I'm going to do is mark where I need to be. That's where I need to be. And I just tack it down with some hot glue to start. And okay. So that way it's stuck. Now what we do need is the score tape. Now on this particular page, we are going to put the score tape all the way around like normal, but I'm going to run 3 strips down. 2 should do actually. So this is what the back looks like. And now I am ready to undo the score tape. The first thing I'm going to do is on this, since it wants to buckle up because of these, is I'm going to go ahead and flex it some. It is not going to hurt anything. It's just going to help the paper go better with the adhesive. So when I do this, the first thing I'm going to push down is on the top, and then I'm going to make sure I smooth it on down.